Oh yes, very academic. Oh yes, very nice.
Okay, beginning the procedure. It should be abundantly clear that you need to take the forks off. So to do that, you take the forks off. You don't need to be taught. Okay, people holding the fork in the vise, thusly. Making sure to use your aluminium grabbers. We need to take the bottom compression stack out, which is behind this big puppy. And you need a wadada-zang, which is the technical term for this gizmo here. Wadada-zang. Note he pushed to get pressure from the spring. And now it's loose. Good luck with that in your Juakali little crap workshops. And this big guy, in case you were curious, is an 14. It's a doozy. By the way, if your fork oil looks like that, you waited too long. You need to remove the punch marks.
Peening. It's called peening.
Yeah, peening off the top of the shaft. Otherwise, the nut won't come out.
Or if it comes out, it will damage the thread.
Now remove the nut.
Here we start now.
Be careful, there's a spring underneath.
Take a picture.
Okay. It's easy to get confused about which way stuff comes out because they're all weird and fiddly. So we think it's best to put the assembly the way it is on the bike and lift each piece off and set it exactly as it came out. Maybe the only bit that is really important to not screw up is which direction this comes out. This is the valve. It comes out this way.
Yeah.
Not that way. I think you can pretty easily see the difference. And that is that on its side, the washer is closer to the top. Don't screw that up. Okay, so the first change to make on the Desert Racing stack is to replace this shim, which is a
2010.
20.1 with a 21.15.
Yes.
All the rest is the same in terms of the shims. Next thing we're going to do is work on boring out that valve. So the small ports in the valve are being bored out to 3.5 millimeters by hand on the table, because there's no way to really hold the valve in a vise safely, because it does have an O-ring on it, and it's a sort of a sensitive piece of kit.
It is delicate, yes.
So you do it on all four of these small holes on the side, not through the big ports. Okay, you can see that the two right-hand side holes have gotten bigger, and we're going to complete the job and do all four of the circular oil passages to 3.5 millimeters. File away, Buana, file away!
This is a
fancy
thread file.
I'm guessing it's German.
Oh yes!
This is a Rhodesian Ridgeback, asleep on the workshop floor. All right, reassemble.
Be careful that you don't bend them on the threads. Because if you do that, it is kaput. Collar. Make sure that it sits,
Collar has
that the
to
shim
go
sits
in nicely.
Otherwise, you take it out and then you bend the shim. And then you are
almost done.
This is done. Now you tighten this.
Disclaimer. There is a torque setting according to Borynack, which is 25 foot-pounds. My mechanic doesn't like it.
No.
It's soft steel, and it just seems like too much. So tighten it like a nice person, not a gorilla. Okay, the key here is to ding the top of it so that that absolutely can't come out. While you've got these guys off, take the opportunity to lubricate these clickers nicely with some nice light lube, such as Holtz Rostola Release Spray Professional. This video has not been sponsored by Holtz. Okay, people, next order of operations is get to the rebound stack. Hold your fork nicely in the vise and take off the large top nut. This gives you access to the spring. Also, so if you're doing this at the same time as you're replacing your spring, congratulations. It is a joy to do this. It helps to have a little gizmo that you stick in there.
And you need some.
And then
you need forearms.
Basically,
like
you need more hands. Yeah. So you
go
need.
like this. Hoya,
And then. Ah! All good. Then that comes off. And you pull out the little hoop-de-doo.
That was in the wrong way.
Somebody's been screwing around in here. Next comes off this. Spring will come out the top. Boing. You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, having removed the inner cartridge, you can grip that bit. We're going to try to remove the peening from the top again, where it's been held on for all these years. And when that's done, we'll remove the nut, and then we'll have the rebound stack out. Now that the peening is gone, we're removing the nut and setting everything on the board exactly as it came off, right side up, in one long pile. It's kind of important not to screw this up. Continuing to try to remove the shims and set them exactly as they came out in an order.
Oh, look at this.
Yes, correct. Teeny tiny one. Itsy bitsy one. Slightly bigger one. Also, if you don't have 70s rock playing in the workshop when you're doing this, it's a 78% chance of a screw up.
This is way more complicated than
Look how many shims are in there.
the compression stack. There you go.
Awesome. That's a lot. Something worth noting, unlike the compression stack, we aren't boring out these ports. Right, so it's interesting. We've now ended up with a 2-speed stack where we've got a big section of big low-speed shims separated by a tiny little shim going into the typical pyramid shape for the high-speed stack. You're going to go blah, blah, blah. It's a good idea to try to get the threads cleaned up nicely after dealing with that peen mark. Don't screw it up.
You still have to be careful. You have these bottom, there's a spring and that collar like on the other one.
Oh yeah.
If this slips out and you tighten this down, you're going to crack these two bottom shims on this side. And
So-
these ones. And that is really, really, you can't get these anywhere.
Okay.
And if you tighten it and you hear a crunch, then it's too late.
You've screwed up and you might as well go buy a KTM. Back to this job of putting a couple of peen marks on top. Listen, a bit of tip here. You probably do need to take the entire stack apart all the way down and carefully reassemble it because there's a tiny spring in there that wants to stick its little self up between the shims. And if you screwed that up, you'll crunch the spring and you'll crush the shims and you'll crush your will to live. Right, reassembling, putting the cartridge back inside the fork leg. Okay.
No, the problem is...
Replace this.
I actually don't want to put in that, because what I'm doing here, normally...
Okay, at this point, the mechanic didn't want to show how he puts that assembly back together because it's not the correct way to do it. But what I witnessed with my own eyes is he took the same Wadadazang impact wrench, put it on Titan, stuck that 14 millimeter Allen in there and went Wadadazang until it gripped. So I would go ahead and do that.
All right. We're going to add oil now. 2.5 weight is what is called for. And we need to leave the air gap from the top to the beginning level of the oil at 110 millimeters. For this job, we will be using 2.5 weight fork oil by Bellray. High performance, made in the USA. This video is not sponsored by Bellray. It looks like green Kool-Aid. Don't drink it. Playing peekaboo with your fork oil is part of the game. It's a good idea to do some light plunging
you have to
in order to get the air bubbles free. Got one of these cool little measuring devices where you can suck out any level beyond what you need. That's 110 right there. For you jokers at home that don't have that, good luck.
No, you can measure it with a tape measure, but it's a pain.
Yeah, but it's a pain in the ass. Here we go. Now the fork spring is going in. Remember, there's a wee little piece of wire that you gotta dink around with so you can grab the middle shafty thingy up.
Middle shafty thingy.
Has a name, doesn't it?
Awesome.
The rod. Let's call it the rod. Yeah. Now it's up. Now, if he can do it himself, I'll be impressed. Usually, it takes another man. Grimace is important. God. That crappy little piece of nylon is holding back that spring. And now you got to just take off the wire and put on the top cap.
Top cap goes down.
Top cap goes down, but this is also a trick. Where is the clicker right now?
It touches. The clicker is all open.
It's all open.
Yeah, this one is open.
So it goes down till it just touches, and then you bring that up to meet it. And you hold them both tight, and then you tighten them. That's where the position of that should be. And this is fun. Remove the nylon clippy boo. Let the spring up there nicely. Reassemble the stanchion and tighten. Bob's your uncle.